You are listening to Wicked Psychotherapists, a podcast where two psychotherapists show you that taking care of and learning about mental health doesn't have to be wicked hot.
Hi, this is Tanya.
Hi, this is Erin, and welcome to Wicked Psychotherapists.
So today we thought it would be fun to talk about why so many people love Halloween, maybe why some people don't love Halloween, and just have a little lighthearted conversation about what some of the positives are for Halloween and dive into some of the psychology behind some of these different reasons that we do really like to celebrate. So today we're going to kind of get into it, talk a little bit first about what we like or don't like about Halloween, how we celebrate, just so you guys can kind of, get to know us a little bit better. And then we're going to dive a little bit deeper into maybe some of the reasons, the feelings behind Halloween and what draws us to this spooky, mysterious holiday. So we wanted to start out with talking a little bit about the first thing that Erin and I talk about this quite a bit, the draw towards whether you find something, if you're drawn to kind of the spookiness, the things like having decorations, maybe getting into the spirit of Halloween, or if you're into horror, or maybe both of those things. But I know that you and I both rest on the same side with this. So I kind of wanted to ask you, Erin, where do you fall and what does that look like between spooky and horror?
If we talk about when I was younger and now, it's definitely changed. And I think we're going to go into childhood stuff later, right? Or do you want me to answer both now? I can.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to, like kind of how that's changed, how you feel now and how you were born.
So I remember when I was younger, books and movies, I was very into a lot scarier, a lot more, I guess, horror. And as far as books, Stephen King type of books and the stereotypical Friday the 13th, Nightmare Before Elm Street, all of those really scary stuff. But now I think it's shifted. I still like scary, but I don't necessarily like gory. I always stay very far away from anything demon or like Exorcist I did see, but anything like that just kind of really creeps me out. And I don't know if it was because I was raised Catholic. It just is like, oh my gosh, this is so scary. But I also like to be scared, but I don't really want to be so scared that I have nightmares or that I start thinking about it or that it could be real. And I like to read I like to read more mystery type of books than horror now. I like to be scared, but not terrified. But I don't know when that shift happened. What about you? Do you notice a change from when you're younger, what used to scare you or what you wanted versus now?
Yeah, and actually it's very similar to your kind of explanation, Erin, because I actually used to like horror stuff. I mean, it's probably because I had 4 older sisters and they were watching this stuff, so I would watch it when I was like 4. I'd be watching like The Exorcist, Pet Sematary, which left a lasting impression.
Oh, yeah.
I am scared to death of clowns. I do not like them. I never liked it. That was just because I was like, clowns, no.
Yeah, Pennywise is scary.
Yeah, for some reason to me, I was like, that's real. I don't know. Like, that was just something. It was a core fear of mine. Mm-hmm. I really did like the Jason movies, the Halloween movies. Mm-hmm. I liked vampire books, like the...
yeah. I forgot all about those, like the Anne Rice stuff.
Yeah, like Vampire Diaries, like, kind of those, like before it was a series, like I read all the books when I was younger. I love those. And I love to be scared because to me, I think I kind of thought of it as like, these are just kind of fictional. I didn't really take it as real. It didn't really scare me. And then for some reason, maybe just because we grow up and we start to see that some of these things are very symbolic of some of the things that maybe could happen, or we start to kind of watch the news more and see that people can be kind of scary, we start to shy away from it, because I definitely did. Like now I do not like scary movies. I have no interest in them. I like very mysterious ones. I kind of like some things with haunted houses if they're kind of toned down, because I just think it's kind of cool. There's like an historical kind of, theme to it. But I do love decorating. I love the spooky vibe. I have stuff all over my house. I love getting wreaths, like Home Goods, Marshalls, all that stuff. love that. I love the feel of spookiness now. And I do like watching movies that are very nostalgic. Like my favorite is The Witches, like Roald Dahl.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Witches. I love that one. And, you know, like Hocus Pocus, like I think that's just a classic. A stupid movie, but like I never really loved it, but it just kind of became a tradition. And kind of spooky movies. Nightmare Before Christmas, of course, you know.
Beetlejuice, stupid things like that.
Beetlejuice. Yeah. Like Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Like anything that kind of is spooky but is not something gory horror. So I'm very much with you in the same, you know, kind of that's the way I feel. That's where
I want to be scared, but I don't want to be
I don't want to have nightmares.
I don't want it to look so real.
Yeah. I don't want it to be something that I'm like, ooh, if I walk outside, could that actually happen? Like, no thanks. I already have enough nightmares about that. But yeah, I mean, it's so I think we went in the same trajectory, you know, but, you know, I also wanted to ask about, you know, do you have any, you know, past traditions or current traditions, you know, costumes that you really liked or that you would want to wear, you know, that you just kind of never got around to? Like, is that something that you thought about?
Well, you and I, before we started, we talked a little bit about growing up and different costumes we had to wear or didn't wear. I had a few siblings. I'm one of four. So being the youngest, there's usually hand-me-downs or there's usually creative things. So I would often have whatever someone was the year before or 2 years before, I would be that. In the off chance I would get my own costume with the, you know, I still remember the smell, like taking the plastic mask and opening up the plastic costume.
I just smelled that as you said that.
It was just like a drape.
So
it was
visceral.
just like a drape of a costume that your mom had to tie behind. And then you just wear normal clothes. You just wear, you know, you're not even that creative. Just wear normal clothes underneath it.
Where some of like your, you know, like some makeup you find around the house or something to kind of put on your face. Yeah.
I remember being Wonder Woman once with the plastic costume. But yeah, I have pictures, and when I share this online, I'll post some pictures. But I have one picture that I shared on my personal Instagram of my sister and I. She's a witch, and she's, you know, the stereotypical green paint. And I am either an old lady or a hobo. And I remember and it's a hobo because it was in the 70s or 80s and we were
That's what we called it. I mean, I know that's not like considered PC now, but you all know we called it a hobo. Okay.
Yeah. And I think I know in one of my costumes, I did have the stick with the bandana with something in it. And I remember one of my costumes, my mom stuffing newspaper in my shirt. So I looked really big and fat, you know, and I'm sure I had one of my dad's old shirts. My mom did not really purchase too many costumes unless like the witch's hat or something like that. But yeah, for that, it was a lot of hand-me-downs, and my mom wasn't a sewer. So it was a lot of, all right, what old stuff of mine do I have? Or what can we get of your dad's? Or what did your sister wear? Or what did your brother wear a couple years ago? You know, and as grown up as a teen and stuff, I don't really remember dressing up. I remember going to a lot of parties, but I don't remember really dressing up. And I think it kind of stopped. And then as an adult, went, you know, like in my 20s and stuff, did Halloween parties. I love Halloween. Like I always have Halloween t-shirts on, and I love decorating the house, but I don't know. But the kids love decorating, and the kids love costumes. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just a jerk, but I always feel like when you see the whole family, the parents always dressing up, and sometimes the parents' costumes are more elaborate than the kids. I always feel like, are they trying to get a lot of attention and taking it away from the kids? That could be my own issues I need to work through from my family. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is. Yeah. I never experienced that where my mom dressed up with us.
Yeah,
she would
same.
just kind of drop us off.
And, my mom would either walk behind, probably smoking like 12 cigarettes and
this was the 80s for you.
Yeah.
It just was.
Yeah. So she either was behind when we were little, I remember walking the neighborhood, or just go walk with your siblings or your friend, you know. But never, I don't think she would ever even dream of wearing a costume, you know.
Yeah, that just wasn't, it was like very much, I think back in our day, you know, it was very much like, this is a kid's thing. We'll go, like, I'll watch my kids, you know, I'll be in the car kind of watching or whatever, be over here watching, but they're just getting candy kind of thing.
What about you? Do you remember, like when I was talking, do you have any favorite costumes, or do you remember dressing up, or did you like to dress up?
I hated dressing up. I think because my mom would take pictures of us, which is a very normal thing to do, but I kind of took it as, oh my God, this is drawing attention to me because I had severe social anxiety and selective mutism. So I was very much like, don't draw any attention, nobody talk to me kind of thing. I was very scared. And my mom actually did sew some costumes that kind of, got handed down, but then I think, but there was a pumpkin costume that I know she really loved when I was younger and I hated because people would say I was cute.
Like a pumpkin head, or like the costume where your whole body is a pumpkin?
I think it was like the whole body, and then there was like a little hat stem, which I look at it and I'm like, that's adorable. It's really cute, but like, that was just how I felt, and there was like the witch costume that we all kind of wore and it got passed down. I'm the youngest of 5, so it's, passed down. And I actually do have a favorite costume that I only remember because of a picture. And it was one of those plastic masks that you described the smell to, which is, I seriously can smell that and like remember the sweat on your face because all you have is like the eye holes and like maybe some like small nose holes, and you're just like trying to like stay alive. But I guess I don't remember this, but I only saw this through a picture. I guess we had to dress up, or we could dress up for Halloween when I was like in kindergarten. I wonder if I can find this picture, but they took a picture of us and it was like kind of this pink plasticky suit and then this like full mask of, I think it was like Shira. I don't know. Do you remember Shira?
Yeah.
Like my favorite. I loved her. And I think I loved it because even though the mask was sweaty and you like were half dying when you were in the mask, I was like, oh, I can cover my face and nobody will look at me. And there was a picture where I guess we were all told to like take off our masks and like just kind of, show the rest of our costume. And I was the only one that kept the mask on.
Oh.
And and it was like in kindergarten because I probably just didn't understand what they were saying, or maybe I was just like, no. But I do remember I liked that because it provided good coverage. So.
Or maybe you were not able to fully understand what's happening because you're going to pass out of lack of oxygen.
That's definitely possible. And all the like plastic fumes coming from those like, like convenience store, like Walgreens, like costumes that, yeah, absolutely. That is for sure. But that was my favorite because of that.
I think I've seen that. I think I know exactly which costume you're talking about. I kind of remember it.
Yeah, it was probably really popular at the time, but I just like loved it. I was like, this is great. I can.
Yeah, it had a little, I think it had her little crown on top and like the fake blonde hair.
Yeah, it definitely had fake blonde hair. It probably had a crown too. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, and it was like very pink and, I probably like pink or something. And yeah, so it was really good. It was really good for a child like me. But yeah, right now we don't really like, my husband does not like Halloween. He's from Portugal. He celebrated All Saints Day. He doesn't really get the whole lore of it. But I like to decorate. I love decorating and just going all out. Definitely didn't decorate when we were growing up, like the house. My mom would kind of hang up things that we made, you know what I mean? Like in school, but we didn't really like decorate.
Yeah.
So I always loved that when other people did that. So I made sure to do it when I was older.
I don't remember my parents decorating inside, but I just had a flashback of one time. I don't know if my parents were part of it or just my siblings, but they made their own haunted house just for us. Ooh. Where each room was a different thing. And I remember like you had to put your hand in stuff. You had to, it was spooky. Everything was, the lights were out. Like, the thing you had to put your hand in, I think was like a bucket of glue.
Slimy eyeballs.
Yeah. Or something like, here's some blood, but it's like glue, or Jello.
And you can't get it off for days and days after that.
But I remember that. And that's a fun core memory of Halloween. Because it was scary.
Really cool. Yeah, I definitely, like, I had a great time. Like, I would always pretty much go with my 2 sisters that were kind of closer in age to me. They're twins. And we always got, like, we would go to, my mom was cool. She would, like, bring us up to the quote unquote,
rich
wealthy areas, rich areas, and we get like the full size candy bars. And, we would always have so much fun. Like, I love that part because we would dump out our stash and then, my mom would like check for razor blades and, when we were younger.
Yeah.
And then we'd like kind of switch off some candy and pig out. It was just it was very happy.
Yeah, those are really fun memories too. And I remember because my oldest brother is 10 years older. So it was mostly just my sister and my brother and I, would do the trick or treating together. And we would have like the pillowcase full, like how greedy.
The pillowcases. Yes. Oh my God. We used to take those too. I forgot about that. Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
So we'd bring pillowcases and we'd just like dump our pillowcases, on the floor and just.
Who thought of that? Like, I mean, it's brilliant, but like,
no
who
one does
thought of it?
But you see kids trick-or-treating today, they're not using pillowcases.
They have these fancy bags that like, I'm like, that's really cool. But like, I don't know, there was something to the pillowcase. It was perfect.
Yeah, because you use your own pillowcase or your mom's like, all right, I got some pillowcases. And you don't care if it's a striped, dirty pillowcase. You don't care like what's happening. If is it the big one? I want a big pillowcase to fill it up with candy.
Yeah.
And then trade. And then my mom would always like say she deserved all the chocolate because she was all about chocolate.
So she would steal all the chocolate.
Yeah, or she would earn it, right? Like be like, oh well, I took you, or I'm doing, So
that's fair enough.
Yeah,
I gotta say, my mom earns more cool points than that because she was very much just like, that's your candy. I'm sure like we maybe would offer it. Maybe not. We, probably were greedy.
Well, like all
candy.
the dark chocolate. I remember all like the gross, like when you're a kid, you're like, ugh, I don't want this. I don't want a Mounds.
Yeah, dark chocolate. Yeah.
Or,
like, yeah,
something kind of gross. The same way. Same. Like most some dark chocolate I like, but it's like, ugh, gross.
Yeah. So like the really healthy kind, I'm like, this is like dirt. I don't like this.
Yeah.
I'd rather not be healthy.
Yeah. No, thank you. Yes.
That's such a great memory, the pillowcases. And, and nowadays, like, I have to say, there's no more like door-to-door trick-or-treating. Like, they're like, at least I've heard that a lot of people, they more go to events, like, because it is kind of a strange thing that we used to just go to strangers' houses and get candy. That is really bizarre.
We
it doesn't stand anymore.
We take the kids trick-or-treating, and we find our neighborhood because we just have a couple neighbors because we're on a few acres. So it'd just be us. But we drive to a neighborhood, and also the school does a, what do you call it, trunk or treat or something like that, where they all decorate. But I always have that feeling each time we go trick-or-treating, and it's like, all right, go walk to the stranger's door by yourself. I'll be at the sidewalk. I hope you don't get kidnapped. I always am like, this is such a weird tradition.
It is strange. It is strange, but it's like, you question it, but at the same point, this is kind of nice. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird, like, juxtaposition.
And I always think too, like, how neat is it that all these strangers have come together to buy candy for these strangers, and they decorate their house, or they dress up, or they try to scare these kids because they want them to have a really fun memory or fun experience. I think it's really cool when you think about it.
Yeah. I agree. I think it is really, a cool thing to contribute to, when you're older, probably because you have good memories of, how you felt and how people would give you candy, or, and there was always the one person or a few people who would give out like, apples, which you're like, this is going to go in the garbage because this is like,
no, thank you.
You can have razor blades anywhere in this, kind of thing, or, toothbrush. Or whatever. I actually kind of like the toothbrush because I was like, I can use this, I guess. I don't know.
As long as it's wrapped and not used.
Yeah. But like the like loose candies, like candy corn, like that wasn't wrapped up or something.
Or what that people used to do, the apple. Like I remember getting the candy apple or the caramel apple in like the cellophane with all wrapped up, and you're like, this poor woman or whatever has probably taken so long dipping her little apples that are going straight in the garbage because my parents aren't going to let me eat them.
Yeah, because it's like homemade.
Yeah.
And there could be plenty of stuff in there. I know, it sucked, and it looked so good too. But yeah, so it sounds like we both have some great memories of that. And we really kind of enjoy a lot of aspects. You have kids. I know we were talking about our fur babies, and I do try to dress my Lucy up. She hates it. It's like karma for when I hated it. Like, she will just sit there and be like, no. And I'll snap a picture and then take it right off of her. She does not like it. It's very much like she feels like it's a constraint.
I have never, for Paige, she has a winter cap that I always, like every Christmas, I always make her. And she looks so cute in it. She's just so cute. But I have not put costumes on her. But I had a dog, Dakota, years and years ago that I would dress up for Halloween, and we would have like Halloween costume contests with like other friends' dogs, because that's,
That's
we didn't have
cute.
kids, and there was like a dog park we would be part of, and she was a good sport. I'll have to find, I have an old one of her that's really cute with her in a tuxedo. But
Oh, that's really cute.
but
Love
yeah,
that.
Paige, I have not tortured her with Halloween costumes, but dogs in costumes or hats is just the funniest. It's so cute.
It is. It is. I love it. And I love when the dogs are like enjoying it and they think like they're a
Mhm.
butterfly or something and they have butterfly
Yeah.
wings. It's so cute.
Like I saw, what
Um,
is it? What are those dogs? Corgis. I saw some
mm.
corgis, like must have been on Instagram, of like little corgis dressed up as like butterflies or little
Oh
bumblebees,
yeah.
and just with their little fat
Oh, my
butts.
sister has a corgi. I'm gonna have to. Maybe she does dress her up. I don't know. I'll have to see. Yeah. Yeah, they're so cute.
They
They're like the
are.
perfect size for that. Yeah.
They're so cute.
Yeah. So, with all this, we thought it would be kind of interesting to, talk about, how we feel about Halloween, but also maybe a little bit of the psychology behind,
Mhm.
we're not going too deep, but just kind of maybe a few things about why some people are really into Halloween and maybe why some people don't really care for it or actually flat out hate it. And this is kind of coming from, just different articles I read, different people I talked to. So it's very much just kind of, casual observations on it.
Okay.
But, the first thing that comes to mind is, with costumes and kind of this fantasy is that people maybe need a day of just kind of suspending reality and just kind of an outlet to have fun and be creative and be someone else, right?
Mhm.
And just kind of say, we can, go around and I can be a butterfly, says the doggy,
Yeah.
like, I can go be, this evil monster and it's something that is okay. I can kind of act out and roar at people. It's kind of like an outlet, sort
Mhm.
of a creative outlet. I think that can definitely stand for people who really like dressing up, the kind of costume aspect of it,
Mhm.
being creative and expressing themselves, also being able to kind of maybe get away from your own identity, your everyday identity sort of
Right.
thing. I think it's kind of fun for them to do that. So I think that was a lot of what I found, with just talking to people. And I also found that, some people as adults, they do like to dress up because, or celebrate Halloween because they can just go drink and hang out and have fun.
Mhm.
It's kind of like a suspended night of just like, unadulterated, just, having fun, letting loose
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Yeah. And then they
Um,
also have the money to buy the costumes that maybe they weren't able to get as kids. So they could spend
yeah.
$100 on, I was going to say Freddy Krueger, but that's like, what decade am I stuck in? But they
Hey,
could
that
get,
would be pretty cool though. If I
but
saw
they,
somebody Freddy Krueger, I'd be like, you get bonus points
yeah,
for
but they could, spend whatever money they want if they choose to,
yeah.
and based, instead of when they're children, getting the hand-me-down costume that they might not
That's a
want.
good point. No, that's a really good point. Or even like, be something that maybe their parent or whoever wouldn't let them be, right?
Mhm.
Like, like some people might be something kind of more risque that like maybe their parents are like, oh no,
Yeah,
you're not wearing that
no
kind of thing.
naughty, whatever.
Naughty
Insert,
stuff.
yeah,
Or like,
insert
kind of
everything.
darker things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I was reading about this. I thought this was kind of interesting that people that are kind of anxious, this can be helpful, for people that do find Halloween to be fun. This can be a night where there's like a controlled chaos. Like
Yeah.
they understand the paradigm. They get, kind of that there's going to be some things that are flipped upside down, but they
Mhm.
understand the rules. So it feels kind of like a safe way to have fun
Yeah.
kind of
Well,
thing.
and that makes sense though, because if you are having anxiety, it is important or proven to get that energy out. A lot of times we're always telling people, do some cardio, do this, do that to help balance out your anxiety. So having a really good scare would probably do it like, whew, okay,
Yeah.
I'm leveled
Yeah.
out, or I'm in control, or this is like you said, controlled, like a controlled chaos almost.
Yeah, they're able to have that adrenaline response but in a way that they can kind of come down from it safely because they're like, "Oh, okay, this is
Yeah.
pretend. This is just
Yeah.
all in fun."
And I know
Um,
there's going to be, so if they're going to a haunted house, I know when this ends, when I'm done with it, I'll be done. I'll be safe, or I'm safe this whole time. These are actors. I'm just scared,
right.
but there is an exit.
Yes, there's like safety in the knowing that it's kind of a suspended reality for it. You know, and that's not to say all anxious people like Halloween. That's just to say some people who maybe have anxiety and do like Halloween, that can be a good
Mm-hmm.
outlet for them.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also some people like to be able to celebrate the darker things that maybe you couldn't really express. Like you can kind of dress up as the devil or, kind of taboo type monsters that may be something just not okay to do in daily
Right.
life, right? Like some sort of ghost or, like the girl from The Ring kind of thing, like
Yeah.
evil kind of characters that maybe would not be acceptable day to
Yeah.
day, or perceived evil characters,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And, I did have a little bit of insight with the, kind of people who do, and this is a vast generalization, but it's maybe a possible explanation as to people who like kind of more horror type experiences versus kind of more spooky, little bit, just the spirit of Halloween kind of in general.
Mm-hmm.
And, I read a lot about people who are high sensation seeking, people who really need that adrenaline response, who like new experiences, who like novel emotions,
Mm-hmm.
who are risk takers. They may be, this is not to say every single one of them, but
Right.
they may be kind of more attracted to the horror or like gory kind of type of themes, because there is kind of a newness, a novelty in some of those experiences. Like people trying to scare you, they're trying to come up with new ways to do it, right? And kind of, freak you out. And the adrenaline response is seeking like a higher and higher amount of fear.
Yeah. In some of those movies or some of those experiences, you are heightened for a very long time, where traditional scary movies or the campy ones, it's just a scare here or there. It's not so intense for a long period of time or so graphic.
Yeah, for sure. And, and people that maybe are more sensitive to that kind of adrenaline response, maybe they don't want that because they probably, that would feel very uncomfortable for them. So they
Right.
maybe kind of be more, either they may not like Halloween, or they maybe kind of experience like the hocus pocus characters kind of thing, or, having some pumpkins out, decorations, things like that. That's a very big generalization, but I'm just in general, that may be part of an explanation for kind of the people that fall into the spooky versus horror camps. And then that brings us to the people that maybe are not so much in love with Halloween and some of the thinking behind that. One of the top reasons I heard was that people either just didn't care for Halloween, or were just like, I just don't celebrate it, kind of felt neutral about it, or completely disliked it, was that it's just very consumeristic. It's, big corporations taking advantage of, selling costumes, decorations, and they kind of feel like it loses its magic. They just don't really see the point in engaging in all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's a big something, that they kind of felt like, it's just not something they really wanted to celebrate. Like some people kind of feel about Valentine's Day, like, oh, it's just about selling cards and candy and stuff.
Right. And it might
And
be.
they just may not have an attachment to it.
Yeah. And, a lot of people, again, what their beliefs they have today could be from whatever was created when they were younger or not created. So maybe there weren't traditions, or maybe there's too much emphasis on Halloween or not enough. And so when they grow up, they might be like, meh, I don't really care for it, or I don't want any real part of it.
Yeah. And we're definitely speaking from a very American perspective. This is very much, there's some people who, and even of course in America, some people may grow up just not really celebrating it, or, because of just how their family feels, or
faith,
bad experiences, faith, beliefs, things like that. I also found that some people felt like this was just a holiday that adults celebrate just to, get drunk, and they're kind of obnoxious, and these people may not be so into that, like they feel like that's not really something I want to do, and that doesn't sound fun to me, kind of thing.
Yeah. And there are probably a lot, I'm sure if you go to any place that has a lot of bars or a lot of, areas like that, there probably will be a lot of people in costumes very drunk. But that doesn't mean that every person celebrating Halloween is going to be, pass out drunk or just obnoxious.
I mean, there definitely will be, but there's some that aren't. Some people just don't want to be around that scene. I kind of felt that way a little bit at certain points in my life. Like it was just kind of,
I definitely don't want to be around nowadays. I don't want to be around pass out drunk people, but
not too fun.
But I'm choosing not to surround myself with that. So if I were going downtown on Halloween, I would expect a bunch of people in costume everywhere.
Right.
Really obnoxious.
Yeah. You know the spots where that's probably going to be
Right.
more prevalent, and you may just avoid that and just not want that type of Halloween, or you may associate that with Halloween as an adult and not be into that kind of
Right.
thing. And that may depend on, how you feel about Halloween in general, if you have kids or not, kind of that type of thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because there's also people who just experience Halloween as it's pretty much just for kids. They go trick-or-treating and then they're, okay, that's it. I don't really do anything for that. I don't really see any magic beyond that. I
Mhm.
know we were both talking that we feel like our husbands are kind of are like that, kind of thing.
Mhm. Yeah, it's funny. My husband hasn't always been like a huge Halloween person, but he really likes it when I decorate, and he's like, "Oh, it looks really fun. I like it." And he loves the kids in costume, but I don't want to say he's take it or leave it, because he loves scary movies. He loves like all the horror and everything. But I think his experience growing up was probably different than mine, where it wasn't a lot of let's get dressed up for Halloween. So when I came into it, I was like, I love Halloween. And because I like the decorating, and I like the idea of it. But I think there definitely was a little bit of a difference. And I think I've made him a convert of
That's
Halloween.
good. That's good. My husband still just tries to walk past the decorations and tolerate them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he just doesn't understand it. I mean, he grew up celebrating All Saints Day on November 1st. And so he doesn't really get the whole decoration thing. I think it's just not his thing. He's on the side where it's like he feels like it's just consumeristic. He never really experienced any kind of magic from it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's just his experience, and I don't care. This is my experience.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I was just trying to remember my parent, because I grew up Catholic, and I think we had the pumpkins, because that's another like tradition, like carving the pumpkins, like getting your hand in the goopy grossness and carving.
Yeah.
Like that's we do that with the kids, and that's something we all like, is either painting or just getting really gross with the goopy grossness inside a pumpkin.
Did you ever roast the pumpkin seeds?
We have a couple times. I've never figured out how to do it. I've never figured out how to perfect it, because sometimes they're like, oh, these are crunchy and gross, or these are just like soggy. So I've never really I figured out how to separate it, but I'm not like, oh wow, like it's not like a bag of like, what are those, like pepitos? Like when you go buy them, like, oh wow, these are really delicious. It's always like, this is almost edible.
Yeah, that was never really my thing. Because my mom would do it, but I think it was just kind of putting salt on it that made it, this is good. You just kind of felt like you were using it, kind of thing. Like,
like how people used to with what was it? Those pistachios, like with remember when there used to be red pistachios and like the dyed shelled?
That.
Oh
I'm sure.
But it was like my mom would just like eat those and just like suck on the shells, because it would be all salted.
Yeah.
And before it's like, all right, do you really like the pistachios or do you like the salt?
Yeah. I think that's a lot of because I used to hate pistachios, and I've only come to sort of like them because they're salty, and that's I think pistachios in and of itself are a gross little shriveled weird nut.
They are. I guess we won't get any pistachio endorsements, but
that's fine. That is
but
fine.
I just remember the red. Like, why would they dye them red? I just remember it just being really gross, and that just reminded me of pumpkin seeds, because I'm like, ugh. Just
did they do that just around Halloween?
No, it'd be always you'd get like the choice of dyed red pistachio or just regular colored pistachios, and I always thought, like, are pistachios red? But no, they're not. It'd be like, but I guess they must have put extra poison on that one, because it was
they did. Red dye number 4.
Yeah, it just really, the 80s and 90s were weird time.
Yeah, loaded with chemical crap and all that good stuff. But yeah, so this is kind of taking a look back and how we celebrate now, and we'd love to hear if anybody has any traditions or anything that they really love, things you can relate to. If you like Halloween or not, what you do. We'd love to hear about that in the comments, or
what your favorite costumes are. And also, I don't know if it's related, but like people who do the cosplay or go to the conventions, they have the opportunity to dress up like multiple times a year. So wonder if that's similar to their desire to dress up or why they do it. If it's
interesting. Yeah. Maybe there's a link there. If anybody is kind of a cosplayer and they dress up for, Comic-Con kind of things like that, let us know if there's if you recognize some of the psychology that we talked about.
They put a lot of money and a lot of time into a lot of those costumes are so beautiful. I wonder if did it start because of your love of Halloween?
Yeah, maybe. Or it's a similar kind of feeling of wanting to, dress up and kind of, get into character kind of thing and express yourself, creativity, kind of, some of the things that we have. But yeah, if there's some links there, that would be really interesting.
Right.
I just remembered before we go, my favorite costume, this was as an adult, was I did dress up with a few of my friends as the Golden Girls, and I was Rose.
Oh gosh.
And I loved it. So that was actually one of my favorites.
Did you have the little purse that you'd hold in your...
That was Sophia.
I lose my points.
Your Golden Girls points.
Yeah.
She had, Sophia was the wicker basket.
That was my mom's favorite, was Sophia.
Sophia was a sassafras. Yeah, she was a real sassy mouth, but she was funny.
I remember Rose now. Okay.
Yeah, Rose was the ditzy, dumb one, but she had a good heart or whatever. And I don't know how we decided on this. We weren't this is the person. It was just kind of whatever we wanted
the ditzy
to
one.
dress up as.
Yeah. You have better shoulders. You can be Blanche. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But, this was really fun. So, yeah, let us know what you do. If you kind of really related to anything or if you didn't, let us know. We're always curious to hear from you and just, get some feedback if you have any suggestions for anything. But we thought this would just be a nice, fun kind of discussion for Halloween.
Yeah. And happy Halloween, because we're going to be airing this on Halloween.
Yes, that'll be very exciting. We're very excited for that. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wicked Psychotherapists and subscribe, write us a review. Helps out a lot.
Yep. And we try to post frequently on the social media sites.
Yes. And don't forget, stay wicked.
And keep your mind well. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.